Hi, I'm Alessandra. For 24 years, I believed I was a cherished daughter, despite always feeling like I existed in my older sister Vanessa's shadow. My parents, Eleanor and Richard Wells, successful business consultants with a pristine reputation in our community, always seemed to have higher expectations for me. Alessandra, honey, did you submit those grad school applications yet? Mom asked during our weekly Sunday dinner, her voice carrying that familiar sugary tone she used when disguising disappointment. I'm still working on the personal statements, I replied, pushing my food around the plate. The deadline isn't until next month. Dad cleared his throat. Vanessa had hers submitted 3 months before deadline when she applied. Different people work differently, Dad, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I'm not Vanessa. Obviously, Mom muttered, then quickly added, More potatoes, anyone? Vanessa shot me a sympathetic glance across the table. The firm is still offering you that junior position if you want to think about it, Allie. I appreciate that, but I want to try something different first. This was our routine. Them pushing, me resisting. Something different? Dad repeated, setting down his fork with deliberate care. Like what exactly? I'm considering that editorial assistant position at Horizon Publishing. Mom's eyebrows shot up. Publishing? But that's hardly a career with growth potential. It's a foot in the door, I defended. I've always loved books and… Books don't pay mortgages, Dad interrupted. This is exactly the problem, Alessandra. You chase interests instead of opportunities. Richard, Vanessa cautioned. Let her finish. There's nothing to finish, he replied. It's the same conversation we've had 100 times. After dinner, they insisted on our usual video call later that evening to discuss financial planning for my future. I agreed, mostly to end the conversation. That night, I called at the arranged time. They answered on the third ring. Hi, sweetie. Give us just a minute, Mom said. Your father's looking for those investment papers. Sure, no problem, I replied, then heard a rustling sound and what seemed like them putting the phone down without ending the call. Their voices continued, muffled at first, then clearer. They must have thought they'd hung up. Ridiculous that she still can't figure out what she's doing with her life. Dad's voice came through. Vanessa was a partner by her age. What can we do? She's always been the difficult one, Mom sighed. Sometimes I wonder if she's deliberately underachieving just to spite us. Well, it's exhausting. Honestly, if she weren't our daughter… Dad trailed off. My sister's voice joined in. Why do you guys keep pushing her so hard? Maybe she just needs time to… Time? Mom laughed sharply. She's had plenty of time. We only keep her around out of pity at this point. My blood turned to ice water in my veins. The phone shook in my hand. That's harsh, Eleanor, Dad said, but his tone suggested agreement more than disagreement. But it's true, Richard. If she weren't our responsibility, would we choose to have someone like her in our lives? All that potential and she just wastes it? I ended the call, my finger trembling as it hit the screen. For several minutes, I sat frozen, their words echoing in my head. 24 years of subtle criticisms suddenly crystallized into a devastating reality. My phone buzzed. Mom texting, Sorry we missed you. Call dropped. Ready when you are. I stared at the message, a strange calm settling over me. They didn't know I'd heard everything. And maybe it was time they learned exactly who their pitiful daughter really was. They said, What? Marco slammed his coffee cup down so hard that several nearby customers glanced our way. My best friend since college had always been protective, but I'd never seen him this angry. Exactly what I told you. We only keep her around out of pity, I repeated, surprised at how steady my voice remained. 3 days had passed since I'd overheard my parents' conversation, and this was the first time I'd told anyone. That's beyond messed up, Allie. Marco shook his head. What are you going to do? I don't know yet, I admitted. Part of me wants to confront them, but another part wants to make them regret every word, he finished for me, his eyes narrowing. I don't blame you. My phone buzzed with a text from my cousin Jade. Outside the cafe. Coming in. Moments later, Jade slid into our booth. I'd asked her to join us because she'd always been perceptive about family dynamics. "You look terrible," she observed, then turned to Marco. "What's going on?" I recounted the overheard conversation again. Jade listened without interrupting, her expression darkening. When I finished, she leaned forward. "I'm not surprised. Aunt Eleanor has always had this weird competitive thing about her children. Remember how she introduced us at the family reunion? This is Vanessa, the successful one, and this is Alessandra. She's still finding herself." "That doesn't make what they said okay," Marco interjected. "Of course not," Jade agreed. "I'm just saying this isn't isolated. It's a pattern." "Have they always talked about me like this behind my back?" I asked. Jade hesitated. "I've overheard things over the years, comments about wasted potential, how they've tried everything with you. Comparisons to Vanessa." "You never told me," I said, hurt coloring my voice. "Would you have believed me? Without proof?" Jade asked gently. She was right. I wouldn't have. "What exactly did you hear them say in the past?" I pressed, needing to know the full extent. Jade sighed, tracing the rim of her coffee cup. "At Christmas 2 years ago, your mom told my mom that they were resigned to supporting you indefinitely, since you lacked Vanessa's drive. And last summer at the lake house, your dad told Uncle Jim that your lack of direction was their greatest disappointment." "Jesus," Marco muttered. "It gets worse," Jade continued. "When you got that promotion at your last job, your mom told everyone it was because your boss felt sorry for you." I felt sick. All this time, I thought I was just being paranoid. "You weren't. They've been undermining you for years." Jade reached for my hand. "And it stops now." My phone buzzed again. "Vanessa, can we talk? It's important." 20 minutes later, Vanessa joined our impromptu gathering. Her expression was grim as she sat down. "You heard, didn't you?" she asked immediately. "On the call the other night?" I nodded, watching her carefully. "I tried to defend you, but not very hard," I cut in. "That's not fair, Allie. I've been defending you for years." Vanessa's voice rose. "They're just impossible. They've always been impossible." "And yet you play along," I countered. "You accept their praise at my expense." "What am I supposed to do? Reject their support? Ruin my own relationship with them?" Marco snorted. "Maybe showing some actual solidarity with your sister would be a start." "You don't understand our family dynamics," Vanessa snapped. "No, I understand perfectly," I said, a plan forming in my mind. The perfect daughter and the pitiful one. Well, I'm done with that narrative. "What are you thinking?" Jade asked, recognizing my expression. "Mom and Dad are hosting that charity gala next month, right? The one where all their important clients and friends will be there?" Vanessa paled. "Allie, don't. Whatever you're planning." "I'm going to give them exactly what they want," I smiled, feeling a strange confidence. "The truth about their family, out in the open. No more pretending." "They'll never forgive you," Vanessa warned. I looked at my sister, seeing her clearly for perhaps the first time. "I'm not looking for forgiveness. I'm looking for justice." The gala was in full swing when I arrived, deliberately late. Crystal chandeliers cast a warm glow over the hotel ballroom filled with my parents' colleagues, friends, and clients. All the people whose opinions they valued above my feelings. I spotted them immediately, holding court near the stage, my father's arm around my mother's waist, as they laughed with the mayor and his wife. "Alessandra!" Mom's voice carried just the right amount of warmth as she noticed me. "We were beginning to worry you wouldn't make it." "I wouldn't miss it for anything," I replied, matching her artificial enthusiasm. Dad leaned in for an air kiss near my cheek. "You look nice, honey. Did you meet the Petersons? Their son just made partner at—" "Actually, I need to speak with both of you," I interrupted. "Privately, it's important." The brief flicker of annoyance in his eyes would have gone unnoticed by anyone who hadn't been watching for it. "Now isn't really the time, dear," Mom said through her perfect smile. "We have guests." "It won't take long," I insisted. already walking toward a small anteroom off the main hall. Once inside, I closed the door behind us. Their irritation was now plainly visible. "This had better be important," Dad said, checking his watch. "The speeches start in 20 minutes. "I heard you," I stated flatly. "Last week on the call. You forgot to hang up." The color drained from my mother's face. "What are you talking about?" "We only keep her around out of pity," I quoted. "Ring any bells?" Dad's expression shifted from confusion to realization to damage control in seconds. "Alessandra, you misunderstood the context." "There's no context that makes that statement okay," I cut in. 24 years of making me feel like I was never good enough. And all along, it turns out I was just your charity case. "That's not what we meant." Mom stepped forward, reaching for my hand. "We were just frustrated. You know how much we care about your future." "No? You care about how my future reflects on you," I corrected her. "There's a difference." "We've given you everything." Dad's voice hardened. "Paid for your education, supported you through every whim and career change, while reminding me at every turn that it wasn't good enough," I finished. "That I wasn't good enough." "This is ridiculous," Mom hissed. "You're taking one comment completely out of proportion." "Am I? Jade's heard you talk about me like this for years. So has Vanessa." "Your cousin and sister should mind their own business," Dad snapped. "I am their business," I said. "I'm family. Or at least, I thought I was." Mom's strategy changed, her eyes welling with calculated tears. "Sweetie, we were just having a bad day. Everyone says things they don't mean sometimes. You know we love you." "I don't know that anymore," I replied, unmoved. "And I'm done pretending." "What does that mean?" Dad demanded. "It means I'm going out there to tell everyone exactly what kind of parents you really are." "You wouldn't dare!" Mom whispered, panic rising in her voice. "Think about what you're saying." "I've thought about nothing else for days," I replied. "Every dinner party where you introduced me as still finding her way, every backhanded compliment, every comparison to Vanessa. It all makes sense now." "You're being dramatic," Dad dismissed. "This is exactly the kind of emotional overreaction that—" "That what, Dad? Makes me such a disappointment? Such a burden that you only keep me around out of pity?" "Lower your voice," he warned. "Why? Afraid someone might hear the truth?" Dad's face contorted with rage. He grabbed my arm, fingers digging painfully into my skin. "You will do no such thing. Do you have any idea what that would do to our reputation?" "Richard?" Mom gasped, but made no move to stop him. "Let go of me," I said quietly. "Not until you promise to stop this childish nonsense." He tightened his grip. "You're hurting me. You're hurting us," he shouted, shaking me slightly. "After everything we've done for you." The door burst open. Marco and Jade stood there, along with 2 security guards. "Is everything okay here?" one guard asked, eyeing Dad's grip on my arm. "No," I said clearly. "It's not." "The restraining order is temporary," Officer Benson explained as she handed me the paperwork. "But given the witness statements and the bruising on your arm, you have grounds for a permanent one if you choose to pursue it." "Thank you," I said, accepting the documents. 1 week had passed since the gala incident. My father had been escorted out after refusing to release my arm, creating exactly the scene he'd been desperate to avoid. "You doing okay?" Jade asked after the officer left. She'd been staying with me since that night. "Better than I expected," I admitted. "Have you heard from them?" "Aunt Eleanor called me twice. Said I was tearing the family apart by siding with you." I shook my head. "Always about appearances." "That's rich, coming from her," Jade scoffed. "She called me ungrateful for betraying family, as if what they did wasn't the real betrayal." "What did you tell her?" I asked. "That she should be more worried about how she treated you than about what people think of her," Jade replied. She hung up on me. My phone rang. "Vanessa." I put it on speaker. "They've been calling me nonstop," she said without preamble. "They want me to convince you to drop the restraining order." "And what do you think I should do?" I asked. A long pause. I think they need to face consequences for once in their lives. Marco appeared from the kitchen with coffee mugs. Look who finally found her backbone. I'm trying, okay? Vanessa's voice cracked. You don't know what it's been like being the perfect daughter. The expectations never stop. I get that now, I said softly. They want to meet with you, Vanessa continued. To apologize? Not interested. They're really sorry, Allie. Dad especially, about grabbing you. Being sorry about getting caught isn't the same as being sorry for who they are, I interrupted. The things they said about me, that wasn't a one-time slip. That's how they've always seen me. Dad keeps saying it was taken out of context, Vanessa admitted, that they didn't mean it the way it sounded. And you believe that? Marco asked incredulously. I don't know what to believe anymore, Vanessa sighed. Everything's falling apart. No, I corrected her. Everything's finally coming into focus. 3 days later, I received an email from my parents' attorney, followed by text messages from both parents begging for a conversation. I declined all contact. Instead, I met with my own lawyer. The evidence of emotional abuse isn't grounds for legal action on its own, Ms. Ramirez explained. But the physical incident, coupled with the witnesses, gives us leverage. I don't want their money, I clarified. I want them to understand what they've done. Understood. We'll focus on the restraining order and public acknowledgement. A week later, I stood outside the courthouse with Marco and Jade. The hearing had been brief. My father didn't contest the permanent restraining order, and both parents signed an agreement acknowledging their actions. Alessandra, please. My mother's voice caught me off guard as we exited the building. She stood with my father several yards away, respecting the legal distance requirement. We were wrong. We see that now. Dad nodded. We've lost our daughter. Our reputation is in tatters. What more do you want? I wanted parents who loved me for who I am, I replied simply. I'll never have that now. We can change, Mom pleaded. Give us another chance. Some bridges once burned can't be rebuilt, I said, turning away. Vanessa met us at the car. How did it go? It's done, I told her. They can't hurt me anymore. That evening, my small support group gathered at my apartment. Vanessa had brought the last of my belongings from our parents' house. What will you do now? Marco asked as we sat together. I looked around at the faces of people who genuinely cared about me. Start over. Build a life where I'm valued, not pitied. You already have that with us, Jade said, squeezing my hand. I know, I smiled, and that's why I'll be okay. Vanessa looked down at her hands. I'm sorry I didn't stand up for you more over the years. You were trapped in their expectations too, I replied. Just in a different way. Still, she met my eyes. I should have been a better sister. You're here now, I said. That's what matters. To new beginnings, Marco proposed, raising his glass. And to found family? Jade added. And to learning who really deserves a place in your life, I finished. As night fell, I felt lighter than I had in years, free from the weight of trying to earn love that had always been conditional. Sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't about making others suffer. It's about reclaiming your own worth and walking away. What would you do if you discovered the people who should love you most were only keeping you around out of pity? Like and comment with your thoughts. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories about finding strength in difficult situations.